Hey everybody, welcome back to DT Performance, and in today's episode we're going to get back on the Turbo 400. I finally got all my parts in and I think I'm ready to start putting this thing together. So let's turn you around here and show you what I got. Today what we're going to do is we're going to install the Sonnax no walk bushing in lieu of the standard output shaft bushing. I still got to get the one out of the case. I'm going to go ahead and put my shift shaft seal in. We'll get this is a part of the Sonnax kit that actually lines the bearing up here. You can see when it's in the case, this sits flush on top. But this bushing, what's so special about it, it has a lip on it that keeps it from walking out of the back of the case. I've heard that's a problem. I don't know, I don't have that much experience with them walking out of the case, but this is your standard. You can see it just drives in. And when we go through this build, guys, what I'll try to do is anything that's standard, I'll talk about it if I'm doing something different. Like this, for example, when you put this specific bearing in here, it has two different shims. You've got a 15,000 shim and a 10,000 shim. So you shim this up to get your in play. Well, these will be removed from the back of your transmission. These is what actually sets down in this is the spacer that goes down in the transmission. And then your steel back bronze washer, or I guess it's I would call it a washer. It's your surface that tangs up to these four holes right here. So those four holes, and when it turns, it's up against that spacer. One of the other things we're going to be doing in this video, the biggest thing that I wanted to show you guys, was I've got the style output shaft here that has the O-ring on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this O-ring and I'm going to turn this down the same diameter as the shaft that's right behind the splines, or attempt to. I do not have a lathe. I've seen guys do it in a lathe or talk about doing it in a lathe, but what I've got, since I have the O-ring, if yours has the O-ring, I'm assuming all of them have the threaded shaft for the yoke. I went to the hardware store and I bought a 1/2 inch fine thread. And I'm going to screw this in, and I'm going to put it in the drill press. And I'm going to turn it on the drill press and take a flat wheel disc sander and do my best to sand this down so we can eliminate this O-ring groove, and I don't have to use the counterbore yoke. Because if you have this O-ring, you have to have a yoke that's actually internally cut. The splines are missing, and it slides down over this O-ring. So if you get a full-size yoke and try to push it down on here, when it gets to this part, it's going to hang up on that O-ring. So I want to be able to run whatever size yoke or whatever type of yoke I want. So we're going to eliminate this. I won't bore you with all the little gasket details. Like I said, I'm going to put the shift shaft seal in, I'll time lapse all that stuff. But when we get to installing the bushing and getting the stack up on our transmission case or our output shaft, I'll turn you back on and we'll talk about the differences in the thickness of this, which shim I'm going to use, and then I'll show you the final results of turning this down. Let's see if it turns out okay. All right, let's get started. Okay guys, one quick thing before we drive the output shaft bushing out is before you drive it out, there is a lip inside of here. This bushing sticks up, and I'll show you. This is the piece that goes in the housing that we took out that we're going to replace with the Sonnax component bushing. But that sits in there. Then this goes on your output shaft, and it rides on top of this. Now, I just wanted to show you that before I knock this bushing out, because if you're following along, I don't want you to knock this out and then me tell you, oh yeah, don't forget. But I'm going to put this in here and just show you. You can see, if my hand's not in the way, that it sticks up. And if I'm feeling of it, mine is sticking up about the thickness of this. So I just wanted to show you that before we knock this out, because if you're building just a standard Turbo 400 using these components, I want you to make sure you leave the stick up on your output shaft bushing. I want to stop you real quick before we get into the output shaft. Something I want to talk about, you just saw me install the shift shaft seal, and I've got another brand new one right here to show you something. This seal kit I've used in other videos, our seal kit, bushing, installer, bearing, driver set. I've used in other videos, but if you're new to the channel, to install this, you can use the right, the proper size socket. Just get a socket that fits it. Make sure that it goes into the bore of the transmission because you don't want to damage that sealing area. But this particular kit is perfect. I want to show you two things. When I installed this seal driver, if you'll notice, you can see there's many different sizes inside this case. But this particular shaft with an 18mm bushing installer, when it slides down on here, your shaft seal perfectly fits right on top of it. And you can tell that's just a little bit inside of the seal, so it went in perfectly. Also, the second thing I wanted to show you guys about this seal kit tool, and I'm not sponsored by Amazon, I'm not affiliated with Amazon, it's just I really like this. When I was installing that no-walk bushing or even removing the stock bushing, you can stack these on this shaft. So what I've been doing is finding the one that just fits the top, and then I will find the one that fits the inside, and I stack them up, put the large one on top, put this one on bottom, and it's got a retaining bolt here. Let me just put that on there so I don't drop them in the floor when I'm trying to show you. And if you've ever installed bushings and you let your tool slide off to one side or the other, you can mar the bushing up or even damage pieces or parts. And I didn't want to do any damage to the case. But as you can see, this will slide right over that and it keeps it from moving so much. That's why I really like this. And I'll put a link to this in the description box below. But let's get set up, get this in the drill press, get our grinding or our sanding flap wheel on here and see if we can make this as smooth as it would be if it was put on a lathe. Okay, let's remove this O-ring and get started. Okay, as you saw in the time lapse, I used a flap wheel to get to a certain point, and then I got nervous because, as you probably saw, my drill was wobbling, and I didn't want it to gouge into the shaft, so I used emery cloth and got it as close down as I could. There's still a little remnant you can see of the groove of where the boss was actually at. Probably going to get a little hate mail over this, because you've weakened the shaft, you cut too far down deep into the shaft. Well, I've got another shaft over here. I'm going to measure both of them for you, because that would be questions I would have. Is the shaft now weak? Is it going to break? I don't think so. And I'm using a set of Harbor Freight calipers. So yeah, I know Harbor Freight. But these shims came from Sonnax. This is a 10,000, that's a 15. And if I measure them, it's 10 thousandths dead on. This thing can measure better than I can, so do I trust it? Yeah, as good as I can measure and put things together, that's close enough for me. I even used these to measure a set of feeler gauges, and they matched up identical to the feeler gauges. I would say keep an eye on them and make sure you keep them zeroed out. But let's get back to this before I get to rambling. So right down at the bottom of the O-ring groove, 1.208 with a 5. 1.208. Put my calipers back up, make sure I zero them out. Let's get the stock shaft, same place. 1.204. Could that be discrepancy in my calipers? Maybe. But but it's not something I'm going to worry about. Now, if I measure the top part of the shaft up close to the splines, let's see what that is. 1.242. .248. So not even worried about it, guys. I think it'll be fine, but I would be interested in hearing your guys' comments. Do you think I hurt the shaft by doing this? Actually, while I was doing this with the flat wheel, I actually stopped and let it cool down so I didn't get it hot. So trying to be mindful of those kind of things. Two more things and I'll let you guys go. If you're building the stock Turbo 400, we talked about this earlier, you've got a shim and a steelback bronze that goes on your output shaft and rides up against the bottom of the case. So if you're installing the Sonnax, a good rule of thumb is to take your stock shim and steelback bronze, measure it, see what kind of measurement you get. I'm getting 152. Now if I measure my Sonnax, this is 142, so that means I would grab a 10 thousandth shim, stack them together. That says 11. Does it give me 152? And it does. I'm probably going to go with a 15 shim just so that I can take up some of the output shaft play, and I may have to take it back apart, but we'll measure that. I've got some more videos coming. I'm actually getting into putting this transmission together. But the other thing, pay attention to the orientation of this bearing. You can tell it has a overlap race on the top, and that's the way it goes in the transmission. But you'll see your shims go on first, then your thrust bearing. But it's showing you like you're putting the shaft in the transmission, dropping it down with your lower unit. So it's got a black mark right here, and from the drawing you can see it actually shows that black mark on here. But if I'm looking at it, if I've got the big part of the race facing down, when I drop my shaft, output shaft into my transmission, that black mark is going to face the flange. So if I'm looking down inside my transmission, I will be placing this bearing so I can see this black mark inside the case. We're not going to get into putting it together tonight. I've still got to clean up some of my direct drums. As you can see, we're going to go through and look at these direct drums. This is 4L80E 400. We're going to take them apart and get our stack up right in our clutch pack stack up right in this and put it in the 400, and I'll show you the differences in the two and what I've found and called and talked to people and just done some research. But that's all we're going to do tonight. If you're first time stopping in to DT Performance, thanks for stopping in. I'd appreciate a sub. Hit that like button. Please comment. Let me know about what you think about what's going on with the channel, what I did tonight. We'll get into some more stuff on the next video. All of you that's coming back, I appreciate you guys. We finally made it over 1,000 subs, and that is awesome. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please hit that like button. Please comment below. All the parts and stuff that I'm using, you know, as always, they'll be in the description. Thanks again, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.